Episode 83, May the 31st, 1915. I was in London's first air raid, by Sylvia Pankhurst. Read by Michelle Harriott. I was writing at home one evening. On the silence arose an ominous grinding, growing in volume, throbbing, pulsating, filling the air with its sound. Then huge reports smote the ear, shattering, deafening, and the roar of falling masonry. An air raid. Mrs. Payne was on my threshold, her face ineffably tender. "Miss Pankhurst, come down to us." Half smiling, she reached out her arms to me. "Let us keep together." I went to her from my little table in the corner. She clung to me, trembling. The angry grinding still pulsated above us. Again that terrific burst of noise. Those awful bangs, the roar of the falling buildings, the rattle of shrapnel on the roof close above our heads. "No use to worry. Only a few houses will be struck among the thousands," I rallied her gently, feeling detached from it all and far away. The thought of the bombs crashing down on the densely populated city was appalling. Yet for our household I had no least shade of apprehension. And for myself, life had no great claim. I was only a member of the salvage corps, saving and succouring as I might amidst this wreckage, happy if I might aid in laying some stones to build the city of the future. "Come down," she pleaded in the next quiet interval. Up or down was the same in a two-storey dwelling, aged and gimcrack, but to please her I went where she would, supporting her, for she almost failed at the stairs. Jim Payne was waiting for us below. Again the huge reports, louder yet louder, the roar more monstrous. "Jim, go and find Miss Smith," Miss Payne murmured, her voice breaking. Obediently he fetched Smith. She had been out on the flat roof, trying to see the aircraft, and was eager to return. "Nonsense," I ordered. "Do not be foolhardy." "This roof cannot save us if the house is struck," she protested. "I know, but you need not get shrapnel in your eyes," I answered her sharply. "Can you not hear it on the roof?" More crashes silenced us. More crashes, more crashes. Again more crashes, and each more monstrous. What a burst of sound! Tremendous! The very earth shook with it. More crashes! Again! 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 At last it was over. Next morning there were pieces of shell on our flat roof. Swarms of children were out in the road picking up shrapnel, prizing up with impromptu tools the bits of metal which had embedded themselves in the road. Anti-German rioting broke out again. Panic ran rampant. A lighted cigarette end was enough at times to gain a man a blow. Little Minnie O'Brien, with her bent little legs and pinched face showing childhood's rickets, came crying to me to tell me her father had smacked her face when she sat playing the piano after dusk, the gas lit and the dark curtains not drawn. To see the devastation wrought by last night's air raid, unaccustomed visitors came flocking to the East End. Well-dressed people in motors, journalists, photographers, high military officials, Red Cross nurses, policewomen, travellers from all over the world. Impatient passengers on the tops of buses were asking before they had yet passed Bishopsgate, "Is this the East End?" Sightseers paused at Shoreditch Church because rumour declared it had been injured, though not a sign of damage was to be seen. Crowds stood with chins uncomfortably upstretched, arguing whether the thin shadow cast by the lightning conductor might really be a crack. For hours, a constant stream of people was passing through the churchyard, a cluster always gathering round the ancient stocks because some lingered to look at them from interest, and others craned over their shoulders to see if those who paused were looking at a bomb. Many West End folk gave up their search here and went home disappointed. Yet only a stone's throw farther, in the poor alleys branching off from Hoxton Street, abundance of wreckage might be seen. Every East End district has its own character. Bow always seemed to me the gayest, friendliest and most colourful. Hoxton among the dreariest. In Hoxton Street I have more than once seen women fighting, a thing I have never witnessed in any other part of the East End. Today these mean streets were thronged and seething. Poor people in frowsy garments crowded the roadways and squeezed past each other in the narrow alleys. What sights for the pretty ladies in dainty dresses, craning their slender white throats from taxicab windows. What sights for the rather too generously fed businessmen and well-groomed officers. Miserable dwellings, far from fit for human families. Poorly dressed women of working sort, with sad, worn faces, and others sunk lower, just covered, no more, in horrid rags. Hopeless, unhappy beings, half-clad, neglected little children. Sadder these even than the havoc wrought by German bombs. Streams of people led the way to the damaged buildings, a babble of talk rising incessantly. We poor people are being made to pay for it. Why is everything so dear? Potatoes, not fit for pigs, and such a price. Conscription? What? They don't need it. They can get all the poor fellows they want without. They put off men as always worked hard and tell them to give their lives. Crowds, mostly made up of women, gathered before each ruined home. One, where a child had been killed, was still inhabited. A soldier in khaki stood at the door, striving in vain to keep back the press of human bodies surging against it. The people who lived there were scarcely able to force a way to their own door. A bomb had descended upon a brewery. From the roof to the cellar, all had fallen. Only the outer walls remained, and a mass of charred wood in the basement. Many dwellings were thus completely gutted. In the ashes left by the fires which had ravaged them, nothing save the twisted ironwork of the bedsteads could be identified. A chorus of wailing stirred amongst the women. "Oh my God! Look at the home!" Rumour raised hotfoot. There were little lights signalling, telling them where to drop the bombs. Germans! Beasts! Germans! I saw taxicabs driving up and down, signalling. Germans! They should all have been cleared out at the beginning of the war. The government has nowhere to put them. They go and give themselves up to the police and they tell them to go home. Everywhere a bomb is dropped, you'll find one of their shops was wrecked nearby. Alas, where in the East End would one fail to find a German shop which had been wrecked in the anti-German riot? Near to the brewery was a baker's shop with a German name on the fascia. The door, the shutters, the very window frames had been torn off. It was boarded up now with new unpainted wood. The crowds, as they passed it, growled imprecations. Wild stories grew there. In Hoxton Street was a rush of excitement. A German baker's, one of the few still remaining, had just been raided. "They were serving bread there an hour ago," a surprised voice uttered. "They go in to buy bread from them, and then they wreck the shop," another answered. The windows were smashed, only a few jagged bits of glass still attached to the framework. The pavement was littered with glass and flour. The shop had been cleared of everything portable. A policeman stood at the door. Two soldiers came out laughing. "There's plenty of new bread downstairs if you want it. It'll only be wasted there," they called as they went off seeking new quarry. Down the street, police whistles sounded vociferously. A babble of shouting, tremendous outcry. A crowd was advancing at a run. A couple of lads on bicycles leading. A swarm of children on the fringes, screaming like gulls. Missiles were flying. In the centre of the turmoil, men dragged a big, stout man, stumbling and resisting in their grasp. His clothes whitened by flour, his mouth dripping blood. They rushed him on. New throngs closed round him. From another direction arose more shouting. A woman screams. The tail of the crowd dashed off towards the sound. Crowds raced to it from all directions, fierce, angry shouts and yells. A woman was in the midst of a struggling mob, her blouse half torn off, her hair fallen, her face contorted with pain and terror, blood running down her bare white arm. A big, drunken man flung her to the ground. She was lost to sight. "Oh, my God! Oh, they're kicking her!" a woman screamed. "Do help her," I pleaded with a soldier who stood watching. He shrugged his shoulders. "I can't do anything." "You're a soldier. They'll respect you." Why should I? He asked with a curl of his lip. Look, there's another soldier. Can't you get onto him? She's covered with blood, a woman's voice cried again. I struggled to reach her, but the closely packed onlookers would not make way for me. An army motor drove up and was halted by the press. An officer, hawk-eyed, aquiline, sat in the front. There were vacant seats behind. I sprang to the step. A woman is being hurt here. Will you take her away from the crowd? I don't think we can. We're on military business, he answered curtly. The horn was sounded. The people made way. The car drove on. The woman on the ground was unconscious. Those who a moment before had shrieked imprecations were seized with pity. The nearest raised her and rested her on a fruiterer's upturned barrel. A couple of women supported her with their arms. Another was fastening up her hair. She drooped, still nerveless, her colour gone, her eyes closed. They chafed her hands, the crowd about them silent and awed. Passion was spent. I believe in all things being done in a proper manner. Killing the woman won't do any good, 2 voices were heard. Make away there, move on, move on. The police came shouting and pushing through the throng, bustling away with equal roughness the onlookers, the fainting woman, and those who bore her. Another mob swept around the corner, hot in fury, baiting a man in flower-covered clothing, wrenched and jerked by the collar, thumped on the back, kicked from the rear. All right, Governor, all right, he articulated between the blows in humble and reasoning Cockney tones, fully typic as that of his assailants. Alas, poor patriotism, what foolish cruelties are committed in thy name.
As the train moved out, he